Matt, I think we should do like a like you said a word like 7 times or something.
It's not even a bad word. This is the kind of thing that frustrates me. There are certain words that are completely useful words that actually accomplish something. There's only one word to explain the thing. And then just because it's an unpleasant topic, it gets somehow accidentally lumped in with the swears, but it's not a swear. I'm telling you, this is not a swear.
You said it so much that a child that listens to this episode is going to start saying the word.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
you just said it a lot. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, because we talk about things that got a lot, and it's a real concept, and that's the word you use when you're talking about something that is noble, but then it's cheapened. And I understand that it's an unfortunate way that we get to that word, but it's the right word.
Okay, whatever. Well,
so now we just backdoored our way into a content warning because you have this on.
We did.
You have this on mic,
and we can beep that at the front there, and then I'm happy, and we can jingle in now.
I just have one more remark to add. You're weak. This is you demonstrating the kind of weakness you say you don't like. It's soft and it's weak. You're being weak, and I said what I said.
I'm weak. Okay, cool. I'll accept. So the compromise is this content warning goes in as long as you get to call me weak on mics. Is that what happens?
But I didn't let me just say it. You're weak.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I accept that.
Dang it. I wanted it to bother you.
Something that a weak person would do?
No, it didn't even, no, it doesn't. That's exactly the opposite of what a weak person would do. Now I look even stupider. We can't
don't look stupid.
We can't do this. We can't use this. Now you won at every turn.
No, it didn't.
No, you outmaneuvered me. You got to teach graduate students for Dr. Casabri as part of your PhD program today. How did that go?
It was the first time I've ever done that, man. It was really fun. I liked it a lot. Like a lot.
Okay, we'll break it down. What was the assignment? What were you asked to do?
Well, it doesn't matter. What really matters is that I used the jokes. I just texted you a picture of the first few slides I used. Yeah, look at those. So
I'm hoping I know what this is.
Yeah. Do you see him? Did you open it?
This is real talk. Well, it's the guy turned around backwards in the chair. Is that Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, that's Slater.
Is it Slater?
Yeah.
You can't. Next slide. You can't learn this from books. Michael Scott saying, "You can't learn this from books," and he's tearing out pages. Thank you for doing it.
You're welcome. Dude. And then you see the first slide is Dead Poet Society. Robin Williams.
No. Where does it say that?
Yeah.
No, I can't.
First slide. Oh, okay. But long story short, so I get up there and I said, "Hey guys, this is kind of a big deal for me. This is my first class I'm ever teaching at the university level, and it's super exciting and super important. And I've thought a long time about how I was going to do this. And so, have you guys ever watched Dead Poet Society? Crickets. And then there's one kid in the back's like, "I think so, a long time ago." And I was like, oh, well. Had you watched it, then I was going to stand on the desk. I was going to stand on the desk.
Your stupid cultural references are so old. They didn't, they've gone all the way from super overused to the point of being nauseating to completely forgotten to history. Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that makes it better.
So I was like, here's what I was going to do. And then I, brought up a picture of Robin Williams standing on his desk. "Oh, Captain, my Captain, does this mean anything to you?" And they're like, "Maybe." Like they tried really hard. Like there was clearly a couple people in the class that had seen Smarter Every Day because you could tell in their eyes, but they were like trying so hard to throw me a bone, but there was no bone to throw. So they were like, I think so, and I'm very excited about you being excited. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, anyway, so I was going to read you poetry, and then you were all going to do this, and then slide. And it's like all the students standing on their desk in Dead Poets Society. You were going to be so inspired. You were all going to stand on your desks. And then I looked around and I just let the awkwardness stir. I'm like, okay, clearly that's not going to happen. Okay,
wait a minute. So is that super old guy, Ethan Hawke? Maybe.
and so then I was like, all right. So then in the 90s, when a teacher wanted to get real with you, they would flip a chair around like this. And I actually did flip the chair around. There was a big chair there, and I just flipped it around. And I was like, I was going to sit there like this. Yeah, actually, yeah. Did you see the picture of me sitting backwards in the chair?
No.
I just sent that to you.
No. It didn't come through.
Look at that one.
I don't have that one. Oh, my goodness. You're sitting backwards in a chair in front of a class. But it was, wow, you look so uncomfortable. That is not a sit backwards chair. My goodness. You look like you're doing that sigh dance.
It was bad.
That's bad. Yeah, no. Okay. So did they get that one?
So I did that. No, they didn't get that one either.
They'd really never seen the I'm going to get real. Time for some real talk, guys. Let me turn my head around backwards in this. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, then I decided I was going to do like Michael Scott when he taught at university. And I was going to get your books and I was just going to rip the pages out. And then I said, does anybody know about that? And it was just silence. And then finally, one kid let me off the hook. He goes, we don't use books anymore.
That's not letting you off the hook.
Well, I mean, he engaged with me.
And this was a history of American pop culture class you were teaching?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it was engineering.
So, yeah. And so I basically realized that there's another level where you don't care anymore, and that's why all professors are the way they are. It all made sense.
You learned that in your first 5 minutes of college teaching. Wow, you are on the fast track. Wow.
I'm being silly, but it was fun. It was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So did that loosen them up at all because they were laughing at you, or was it pretty stiff the whole time?
Yeah, it loosened them up a little bit. They quickly realized I was there to help them. And then we dug into it, and we did some pretty hard. So Dr. Casabry, genius, obviously. He's the professor that taught us about fusion propulsion on here way back in the day.
I remember.
So yeah, so he does this thing where he models plasma with something called smooth particle hydrodynamics, which is just really cool, fancy. And he's teaching an SPH class this summer, just an intro class, intro to SPH. He is out of town this week, and he said, hey, this paper that you're writing, there's a lot of really cool SPH stuff in here. And I said, he was excited about it. And I said, yeah, it's really cool. If you ever want me to show the students, let me know. And he's like, I would love for you to cover for class for me. I was like, great, I would love to. So that's what I did. And I just gave a 2-hour lecture on stuff I'm working on, and we did a really neat thing called a Taylor impact test in modeling and simulation. And it was fun. It was neat.
Okay, hold on. So to be clear, SPH is smooth particle hydrodynamics. And this is the intro course to that?
Yeah, it's a 695 level course. It
sounds like an intro course.
Special topics.
What is smoothed particle hydrodynamics?
Basically, you take an object and you divide it up into little particles. And then you assign rules as to how those particles can interact with each other. Those rules are based on the material properties. And it sounds pretty simple, but that is the hard part.
Sounds incredibly simple. No, it doesn't. What?
Well,
no. It sounds like I would need to start over at life and begin learning on an entirely new path with new parents and a new diet and a new workout regimen to ever understand anything you just said. No, it doesn't sound simple at all. It sounds like You're talking about the building blocks of reality at a level of specificity that normal people could not possibly comprehend. That's how it sounds.
You've actually summarized it pretty well, the building blocks of reality, because matter interacts with other matter, and we don't know exactly what all those forces are that makes it happen, but we do know that they follow general trends. And so what I've learned over the last year and a half, there's a software package called ANSYS. So in the engineering world, there are a few CAD softwares that people use. There's more than a few. There's all kinds. There's Onshape, Autodesk, Fusion 360, Autodesk Inventor. There's SolidWorks. There's Creo. There's
I've heard of half of
Siemens.
Those from you and your friends, but I assume these students would be familiar with all of them?
No. And so the way I started the class is I said, where are you from? What do you learn? And they're like, oh, we're all mechanical and aero students. I was like, great. That means you all know CAD. What CAD software do you use? And we went around the room. There was only about probably 8 or 9 students in the class, and they all use something different, basically, which is interesting. Or like your Bible scholar peers, you would say, what version do you use? And they're like, oh, I'm NASB. I'm ESV. I'm King James Version or New King James, or I don't know. What would you say the most common versions of the Bible are right now? I like ESV.
The ESV has been really hot. The English Standard Version, it's by a company called Crossway out of Michigan. And it's a fusion of kind of King James beauty with a certain text tradition. So it's reliable, but some of the other translations are really, they go over the top toward really tighter word for word translation, which can be a little stiff. ESV kind of tried to split the middle on that a little bit, so it was very popular for a long time. I think it's still pretty popular now.
What do you use? What did you memorize most of the Bible in that you have memorized?
New International Version, 1984 edition. But I don't know, man. I use them all. I mean, they all do something different. So you're sort of getting a scholarly artist's rendering of something that isn't a neat, tidy one-for-one. I mean, it's like you decode ancient Greek like a Cracker Jack box. And like, that symbol means the letter E. That symbol means this. This word means exactly this. There's, there's an art to it. And so part of looking at multiple translations is this one has this philosophy of translation. Let's see what happens when you apply that rubric to the ancient text. What's the best read you get on it from that rubric? What's the best read you get on it from this? But this is not what we're talking about. So yes, the point is, I understand that people use different design software, and people in my field use different translation philosophies. Okay, I get it.
I guess it's similar to the Bible thing. Like, engineers have certain calculators that you bought when you were in high school, and I like TI-85 calculators, Texas Instrument. Some people like, they use reverse Polish notation. Is it Casio? I forget who it is. No, HP
Polish
calculators.
Wait, what does that mean? Reverse Polish what?
HP calculators, Hewlett-Packard calculators, they use what's called reverse Polish notation. And so instead of the way I use a calculator, which is 2 button, plus button, 2 button, equals button, and then 4 pops out, they do something like 2 enter plus enter. They do something weird like that. I don't know what it is. That's reverse Polish notation, and a lot of HP calculators did that. I don't know why. Maybe it had something to do with how they were programmed back in the day, but a lot of people learned on those. And so if you are an engineering student, you learn these tools early in your student days, and they move forward, and that's just what you do. And so I've gone back and purchased TI-85 calculators, even though I could use all different types of things on the internet now. They have really, really good graphing software just on the internet now, but I like having a physical calculator, so sometimes I'll buy that. A TI-36 is a really good one too. So we had fun. We started off, everybody had done this CAD software, and I've spent a lot of time learning this special SPH software called LS Dyna.
LS like DYNA or Dyna like DINA?
Yeah, DYNA. So back in the day, and this is something that I think I've changed a little bit because of our friendship. So I thought I was going to jump right into it and say, like, this is how you do it, set up a model and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't. I started with the history of it. And so back in the day, I did, yeah. Back in the day, there was this dude, I think his name was like Hallquist or something like that, but he worked at Lawrence Livermore National Labs. And I don't know, do you know what they do at Livermore?
No, I've never heard of that in my life. I have no idea.
They work on bomb stuff there.
Where's it at?
What they used to do. I think I don't know where Livermore is. I want to say New Mexico, but I'm probably thinking about Los Alamos. I don't know where Livermore is. One of the really interesting things is back during the Cold War, I guess, they were trying to develop a bomb that was like a dial-a-nuke. You could dial the yield that you wanted the bomb to go off at, and it was to be dropped at a pretty low velocity. It was going to impact at 40 meters per second or something like that, which is relatively slow, like half the speed. Well, no, not even half the speed of sound. Like, that's very slow, actually. They were trying to figure out how to make this bomb hit the ground and then the fuse to detonate in a certain way. It was supposed to go up against hardened targets. And so you have to know how the outside of the bomb crushes up against the target to know when to fuse it, to when to light it off, right? In order to do this, they had to have these very, very complicated mechanical impact models that didn't exist. So this joker just made it. He's like, oh, this is the hardest math ever in the history of humankind. I think I'll just do it. And he did. So turbulence is a very, very hard problem. There's this thing called the Navier-Stokes equation. It's just a very hard thing to solve.
I've seen you work on collision mechanics. I don't know what program you're working in. I just see the results from time to time when we're hanging out, and the amount of crap that is going on in that image, I would think would melt most computers. There's so much processing and so much randomness. You just don't think about it. Like if I take a couple of rocks, like limestone or something that's kind of clay and it'll break easy, and I hold them in each hand and I smash them together, that feels like a very simple action. But after seeing your simulations and the stuff that you've been fiddling with, that's a universe of data just in that one simple childlike action of mashing two breakable rocks together. And I guess you could do it 1 trillion times and they'd never break exactly the same way. I mean, it sure looks like that level of randomness to me.
It's pretty wild. And I think you were spot on when you said that the interactions are what hold matter together. I forget how you said it, but the hardest part of the whole thing are the material models. So if I have copper, you know alloys very well. If I have copper that's 100% oxygen-free copper, it's going to behave in a certain way at room temperature at a slow application of stress. But what do you think happens if I hit it really hard? How do you think that's different than applying that same load slowly? What do you think would happen?
Wow. Okay. So you're pure copper. Cu, just copper. This isn't.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the chemical number? What's the atomic number of copper?
I have no idea.
It's low, right? Like it's sub 40?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, it's around the precious metals, right? So it's going to be 20s or 30s. Probably. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be up there with like uranium or something.
No. It seems pretty. It's 29, so it's pretty
29.
low.
Okay. Okay. So I've fiddled around with metal like this a little bit before. If you hit something like that fast, well, it could just break if you hit it fast. I mean, like just picture a copper coin. Like if you banged that thing hard enough, shot it, it could just split. But with gold, I mean, I'm not trying to give the impression that I just have a lot of gold that I can fiddle with, but I've seen gold and I've seen what people can do with it. You can stretch that out if you go slow enough, and you can take a tiny little bit of gold and make it big enough to cover your house. It's amazing how pliable that can be if you apply the right kind of force to it at the right pace. but I would assume that you could just split a piece of gold in half if you hit it fast. So my intuition says if you apply force slowly to that, there would be more pliability. I couldn't tell you why at the structural level. If you apply force quickly, it's going to fragment, and I don't know why. That's my guess.
You're absolutely right. You've just described a feature called strain hardening. So that's part of the thing we did today in class. So I said, okay, here's this big equation. It's called the Johnson-Cook constitutive model. And if we're taught like you just pull metals and they break at some number. Well, that's not really the whole story. That's just what they teach you in undergrad. But like as you move on, you realize, oh, wow, there's a whole lot of other stuff going on. And one of them is strain hardening. And if you pull that thing fast, it'll break differently. And typically things end up getting more brittle as, because they get harder. And things that are hard shatter as opposed to pull, So you're absolutely right. Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
So you're saying that these CAD softwares, these design softwares, can take into account the time factor, the pace at which force is exerted on a given material?
Yeah. So that's kind of, that's what we were doing today. So we were doing something called explicit modeling, which means you apply a load and then you iterate some time factor and you do all the math and then you see where everything is then. And then you apply the other load, or I guess it's basically decelerating and the material is absorbing the energy. And so it breaks in different ways depending on how fast the load is applied.
So then there's going to be a list of factors in this, you called it Johnson-Cook constitutive model?
Yep.
That's right?
Yep,
okay.
Exactly.
So the factors are going to be, what is the material? And I would assume usually that material is not going to be pure. What is exerting the force on it? Is it collision? Can it calculate like just heat, radiation, energy? Or is it only a collision simulator?
Yeah, you actually, the heat and all these things go in. So you actually say, I'm doing the experiment at this temperature. And there's actually a thing that happens when you hit it, it'll start warming up based on the internal friction of the material as it's mushing and flowing over itself. So it starts at a certain temperature.
Okay.
This model will include the fact that it's heating up. And so you have work hardening, you have thermal softening, you have all these things going into the model. You're spot on, dude. You got it. Like, you understand it.
All right. How did they get this information? I mean, I know this isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about what the actual class was and what it was like to teach it. And we're going to get back to that. But I'm just not understanding how you would gather the data in the first place to have this database of knowledge within the program to be like, well, I've got a rock here that, we did some testing on it. It's got 11% silver in it. It's gypsum. Its core is gypsum. It's got a little bit of limestone here. How did they figure out what all of those different things do under different pressures? And then how did they figure out what they do when they hit each other at different speeds, at different temperatures? Where did the set of the knowledge base come from?
You're incredibly sharp today. Some days we have days where we're like, oh, yeah, I enjoyed talking to Matt today. This is one of those days where your brain is working really, really well.
Okay.
So we need to figure out what to use this for. But
okay.
you just backed into something that's very important. And so let's say you wanted to understand pure copper, and the way you would do that is you would do a litany of tests. And these tests are different strain rates, different temperatures, different loading methods. And so in order to get all of the data, to include figuring out when things fail, which is what's called the damage parameters in this model, in order to do all this, it costs an incredible amount of money, just a crap ton of money. So like if you say, hey, Destin, here is 100% oxygen-free copper, go away and figure out all the material properties for us to put it in this fancy pants model. I'd say, okay, first of all, I don't know how to do it, but I'll go learn. And about $50,000 later, and probably months later, I'd come back to you and say, okay, here are your 10 numbers that you need to put into that thing in order to get reasonable estimates of what would happen when you do things with this material. And then you say, okay, now I added 2% tin to it, or 2%, I don't know, what makes brass? Copper and zinc, right? You'd
Sounds
say,
right to me.
now it's 98% copper and 2% zinc. It's brass. Go do it again. And I'd be like, oh, crap. You can't use those same numbers that I just did for the model. I have to go do it all over again. So if you were a country trying to develop very important
anticipated
weapons.
My question. Yep.
Yeah, what's your question?
Well, my question is, this is unbelievably valuable knowledge about the building blocks of existence. Because if you know what these things will do, just from a computer simulation, first of all, the amount of man hours and the amount of money that you can save in the development phase of a project is astronomical, because you don't have to have some poor grad student banging a thing of zinc against every single substance on planet Earth over and over again. You can save so much time, but then as soon as you know that, I guess my question is, do people withhold this knowledge? Because I think you'd want to protect it if you did the work to figure out what this item does when it bangs against this item at this temperature, and that's a very valuable bang right there. I don't think you want to go just publish that in a peer-reviewed journal and let every other person in the world know. I think you'd want to protect it. So the question I was going to ask is, do people hide this knowledge?
I think so. So the simple paper that I've made is just two bullets hitting each other. I tried to model that. I just did an incredibly thorough literature review trying to find these numbers from all these different places. And I found like something that kind of worked, but not really.
Are you talking about damage parameters? You were trying to find it for the materials that made up the bullets?
Yeah, the lead in the bullet, and also, so for example, the copper, the brass on the outside jacket of the bullet. So it's what's called gilding metal, which is 95% copper and 5% zinc, right? But the lead on the inside, it's like 97% lead and 3% tin. Or I think it's, antimony, excuse me, not tin, antimony. And so these are very particular alloys, and I just can't find this stuff, man. I just cannot find the numbers.
Did you find any of the numbers just by looking around?
Yeah, I did. I built this whole spreadsheet. I found about 20 papers that had stuff in it. And it's very interesting because I got to the point where I could figure out, like, oh, they just copied this guy. And in fact, they had a typo. They copied this guy, but their decimal place is off right here. They meant to copy him, but they couldn't. It's interesting. I've got to believe there's a database. I've got to believe there's nation-state level attention given to this stuff, and they try to figure out what all the material does. What are your thoughts about all that? The answer is yes. I'm pretty confident the answer is yes.
I mean, you and I have flirted with this in a conversation that I think we recorded. I think we shared it with the third chair. I don't remember. Our conversations kind of blend together for me sometimes. But what I was kind of reasoning to was that it seems like at some point you could have knowledge down to such a finite degree that, I mean, you could predict anything. If you could really know the shape of a thing that you were really going to smash into the shape of another thing, and you knew all the, correct me if I'm saying it wrong, damage parameters of what happens when each thing that you predict is going to hit each other thing in these two objects that you're smashing together, all the, the subtle parts that make it up. You could predict things that just should be beyond human knowledge if you had enough calculating power. And if you can predict a thing on one level, theoretically, you could always get more knowledge and more calculating power, and you could predict a thing on a greater level, and then you could always do more. and you could predict it on a greater level, it just seems kind of Tower of Babel-y to me, to be able to not just simulate something for the fun of like, what if there was a this and there was a this and we knocked them together, but to analyze something and say, no, this is a real world item. This is another real world item. This is exactly what they're made of. This is exactly how we're going to bang them together. And this is exactly what's going to happen. It's like taking the thing that we just write off in the universe as chaos. You just can't know that. And all of a sudden it's like there's a pathway to that being tamed. It's mind-boggling to me.
So that's what it looks like on the surface. And then you do it.
You're going to make me feel better?
So, yeah, I am going to make you feel better.
Thank you. I'd like that.
So as we're going through the class, I'm trying to explain to the class how to do things. And we're going to do what's called a Taylor impact test, which is just a simple rod shooting against a flat wall. That's all it is. And said, okay, by the end of the class, we're going to do this. We started off and we started making the rod and making the plate in this CAD tool that ANSYS has called Discovery. And it's very different from all the other CAD tools that everybody else in the class has used. And so we're stepping through that. Some of the students are having a hard time with it. I said, don't worry, I did this for a long time. It took me forever to get this figured out. And so we got through that a little bit. And then I just laughed as it was happening. And I said, okay, so what's happening right now is there's like some people in the class that are having a hard time. And there's other people in the class that are like done, kind of like crossing their arms. I was like, don't worry. You're going to have a hard time soon. You just don't know it. It's going to get you. You just don't know when. Something here is going to be hard. And so what I've learned is these models and simulation and all this stuff that we do, all of it depends on how you enter the stuff and if the numbers are right or wrong. And it's so incredibly cost prohibitive to get the actual values. I don't think we're ever going to get in a world where it's like, oh, I'll just model this. And so as a joke, not a joke, just as a test, every once in a while I'll get a AI and I'll try to ask it to help me do some stuff. And it's nowhere close, but it'll talk to you as if it can. It'll say, oh, would you like me to make the input cards for you? Like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. Yeah, just call its bluff, right?
Yeah.
And it makes something, but it's nowhere near it's not even reality. It's weird. It's just
that does make me feel better.
If you just know the words and say the words, then you end up feeling like, oh, well, that everything must be possible. And this is the danger of doing simulations like this. And I was talking to Stefan. There's a YouTube channel called CNC Kitchen. This guy is awesome. He's a German dude. And I met him in real life, and it was great. We were talking, and I said, have you ever heard of this? And I was describing the simulation. He goes, yeah, actually, I used to do some of this stuff. I said, oh, that's amazing. We started talking about it. And I said, I think one of the problems is that you can do these things, and a really pretty picture pops out. And he goes, yes, it's actually quite dangerous. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if a pretty picture pops out, and it can show you when a thing is going to break, and you show the pretty picture to a manager, they say, oh, well, that must be truth because you did it with a computer. But it's garbage in, garbage out. If you don't model it perfectly, then it's going to lie to you. And then you're going to make a decision as a manager that could end up killing someone. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Now, this is such unbelievably precise stuff. So, I mean, you give me all these breakdowns. Like, for example, you said that these bullets that you're trying to smash together, you've got a great sense of what this is made of. I mean, the casing's 95% copper, 5% zinc. The actual slug is 97% lead and 3% tin or antimony or whatever you said it was. And so we can break all of this down. Zinc, there we go. We know, what they're going to do when they mash together, and all of that is great. But then I'm still hung up on something you said right at the beginning of walking us through what you were dealing with in the class. And that is that, yes, we're in the realm here of the building blocks of reality as we understand it. But there are forces at these tiny little levels that we don't even know what they are. There's just, I don't remember how you said it, but like something is happening there. Like that thing has a relationship with that other tiny thing, but we don't know what that relationship is between them. Well, how do you model for that? I mean, I guess you just do it a lot, and basically this seems to happen every time. So whatever the relationship is between these things and that we don't know what it is, we know at least it seems to do that. Is that pretty much all it is? You don't know how, but it just always does this, so you just sort of guess?
Yeah. It's interesting because in undergrad, they say, oh, this is a stress strain diagram. This is how metal works. This is how steel works. This is how aluminum works. And I remember driving on the interstate and seeing an aluminum trailer on the back of an 18-wheeler and saw that it had a really big arch on it because the stiffness modulus of aluminum is different than steel. So they have to arch it more when they build the trailer. And I remember thinking, a freshman in college, I remember thinking, oh, wow, I understand how all metal works now. I thought that. I was like, oh yeah, well, yeah, that's 3 times the arch of a steel trailer, but it's lighter. And so I remember thinking I had it licked, man. I had it figured out. And then the more you go, the more you realize, I mean, everybody, this is almost cliche, but the more you learn, the less you know. And so I got to the point where now I'm like, this is just a finer approximation. So there was this one guy, I forgot his name. I'll look it up here in a second. But he says, all models are wrong. Some are useful. And so the more you learn, the less you know. And it's just really good to go back and try to familiarize yourself with stuff. I thought that was pretty neat. And it made me want to talk about another thing. And because I'm learning more of an overview of how this stuff works. But I want to bring up your book because it's an overview, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Man, I have more questions for you about your thing, but also I want to talk about my book. Can I just ask you like 1 or maybe 2 more questions and then accept that pivot? Go. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
1 about the class, 1 about the things you don't know.
I do want to say this.
Okay.
You influenced the way I taught because I found myself spending more time on the humanities part of it, saying things like, hey, I'm going to read from the slide here. Well, basically, I pointed at the slide and was like, hey, if you get this wrong, you could kill somebody. Also, this is the guy that made it. And so I pulled up a video of the guy who invented the software, John Halquist, that's his name. I just found it to be very important to pull up all these people that came up with these smart things. And this is the history of how we got here. This isn't just plug in these numbers and do this thing. No, this is how we got here, and this is why it's important. And the name of the guy that said all models are wrong, some are useful, was George Edward Pelham Box. I learned that today as I was trying to find who said that quote. So, yeah, thanks for influencing my class, or the lecture, I guess I should say. It's not my class. It's Dr. Casabre's class. He just let me sit in for 1 lecture.
I'm honored. Okay.
Yeah.
My 2 questions. And maybe this requires a whole other episode, but do you have names for the forces and the particles and the things that you don't know what they are? Are you like, that's mystery 1, that's mystery 2? How do you even talk about things that you know must be in play, but that you don't know what they are? I guess I'm really interested in that. And if it needs a whole episode, you can just say pass and we'll do a whole episode later.
I think of it like this. I think of engineering as what I do. It's like the practical application of, in my case, physics. And then I think of physics, and physics can describe how those forces play together, okay? And then you have this layer that's even above that, or even deeper than that, depending on how you think about it, and that's math. So I think it goes, math is the foundation for everything, and that can help us describe physics, and then physics, or what's the better way of looking at that? It's basically, we know this thing happens in this way all the time.
Okay.
So it's kind of an approximation of, we think if you build a bridge like that, it won't break, because steel that big hasn't buckled under those loads every time we've tested it. Therefore, we're going to approximate that to be right, and we're going to apply some safety factor to it, and it should be right. And then you go to physics, and that's like, these atoms hold together because of this. You know, we've got the iron, and we have some oxygen in there doing this, and we make this is called steel, and somehow those atoms hold together in this way, especially if you cool them at this rate out of the mill. And then somewhere beyond that, you've got math that describes how everything holds together. And I think of that as the language of God. That's the way I think of it.
And maybe beyond that, you have what the ancients called virtue, truth, represented by that perfect circle that Archimedes was trying to make. There is some notion of symmetry and reality and truth that is even bigger than math, that is some sort of mingling of someone being there, of the reality of the math and the reality of the order, and also someone being able to observe the reality of the order. Because the observation of that order isn't what makes it true. It's what completes the circle, completes the virtue of the thing. Or maybe we can just stop it at math. That was pretty good when you ended at math.
No, I hear what you're saying. I don't completely understand it, but I really like thinking about that. That's interesting.
The class thing. This is my other question. How do you feel coming off of it? Is it fun? Do you wish you'd been a college professor? Do you maybe want to be one some other day? What are your reactions?
It was really fun. It gave me a big appreciation for what Dr. Casper and all my other teachers have ever done, where they have to prepare ahead of time and they walk in there and they shoot from the hip. You know, we had some things that didn't work and we were able to fix them on the fly, and it went really, really well. I remember thinking it was a 2-hour class. I looked at my watch at about an hour and a half and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this is working. Like it took me months and months and months to get to this point. And then Luis Costa is a guy that basically taught me how to do everything I did. So I want to say his name, Luis Costa from Ozen Engineering, Ozen. So he basically taught me how to do all of it. And he held my hand via video conference and walked me through building models over the past many, many months. It was just amazing how it all worked. And it was a testament to my teachers in the past, including him. I asked a couple of the students that were asking me about something else after the class. I asked the students, like, hey, do you have any negative feedback for me? That's the first time I've ever done that, ever. And I have no idea how it came across. How was it? And one guy said, well, positive feedback makes you feel good. Negative feedback makes you better. And said, well, negative feedback, he goes, well, we were moving very, very fast at the beginning, and we, lost probably 30% of the class pretty quick there. And I thought to myself, I accept that just because of the difficulty of what we were doing. So I was okay with that. And then a lady that was in the class, she said, you actually really enjoyed it, and that made it more fun for us. Like, you enjoyed and cared about what you were talking about, and that made us care. And I thought that was really interesting feedback. I like that.
And that would be the number one singular thing that would be the most said about your entire career by anybody who's been paying attention. That's it. Like, why does Smarter Every Day work? Because of that. Lots of people are smart. Lots of people can teach. You're willing to learn in front of people and genuinely enjoy it. And that's contagious. And that's why a whole bunch of people have imitated that. Some of them well, some of them it's cute. Like, they try to act like they're having fun and learning something in real time when it's 100% scripted. Hey, God bless everybody. But that's your superpower, dude. I think it's really astute that lady picked up on it. And not everybody's sharp enough and observant enough to catch what you're really, really specially gifted at. And that's it right there. Nice job.
Thanks. Yeah, I do feel like I have received a gift that I don't want that to sound as arrogant as it sounds. I feel like I am on the receiving end of the gift of curiosity, and I really enjoy that so much. And I really like being curious, and I'm glad that I'm that way. And I know that's it's nothing I did.
Well, you really like it when other people see it. A lot of us like songs that we hear, and then we want to go share that song with somebody. A lot of us like books that we read. Then we want to go have somebody else read the book, or we see a movie or a TV show. That's how people are wired. It's just that when it gets into the really complicated stuff about the world, it can be difficult for most of us to figure out how to translate that, how to say it in a way that other people could understand so that we can bring them into that joy. But you are very, very good at that. It's not just that you're curious. It's that you are good at taking very complicated things that bring you joy to discover and give people who are less qualified to understand it, like me, that same joy of discovery. It's a pretty cool gift.
You did the same thing with your book. You took a very complicated thing that you really enjoy. I've observed you both publicly and privately enjoying it for many, many years. And you broke it down in a way that other people could understand it. And you made a book about it called
The Lightning Fast Field Guide to the Bible. That's the actual title. I actually went with that.
And it's available on Amazon for pre-order. And I did not ask your permission. And I sent out an email blast to everybody telling them they could get it on pre-order on the Notum Questions email list.
Okay. Well, there that is.
I had to delete your email from the email list so that you wouldn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was really nice of you. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I've never been through a process like this before. I mean, I've made a lot of videos and stood in front of a lot of people and talked. Tried to, you're taking an ancient thing written in a different language and you're trying to show people why it's super fun and exhilarating and the joy of discovery and all the stuff we were just talking about. But to sit and actually try to do that in book form, that was kind of a different exercise. That was humbling.
Can you tell how many people pre-order the book? I don't know anything about how this works.
Oh, they'll probably tell me at some point. We're still neck deep in the early production phase. So is it okay if I just kind of tell you a little bit about what the process was like on all of this, just from a how a book gets written perspective?
Yeah, I'd like to know. I don't know how this works.
The way it worked for me is step one, have a bunch of people on the internet who have already looked at things that you are interested in and say, that is interesting to me too. I like how you come at it. And I didn't understand that before because I wrote a book a long time ago, but I started with the book and I was like, cool, I wrote a book. Now all I have to do is get people to read it. But I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew me. And that made it a lot harder when I tried that before, even though I really liked the book. Whereas this time around, I don't have a huge YouTube channel or anything like that. I've got this daily podcast about the Bible that I do as well. But a few people started reaching out and being like, I'm from such and such agency and we'd love to represent you. You should write a book. And, sometimes I'd remember to give a polite no. Other times I would just forget and it would go over the waterfall. And so I just sort of dodged it for a long time because I was really having fun doing the podcast stuff with you and the daily Bible show and YouTube stuff. I'm busy with family and I just don't have time for a book right now. Well, finally, there was this one guy who kept beating down my door and he seemed cool and he was persistent and he had good arguments for why we should do a book and why we should work together. He was an agent from a good agency and that made a big difference as well. I assume you get emails like this too? People would like you to write a book?
Yeah, I do.
What do you do with that?
Right now, nothing. I don't have time to do that. And so there's a book I want to write, but it's just not the time to do it. It's going to have to be later. So when that finally does happen, I'll probably give it a shot. I just don't know how. How did you pick you picked an agent?
I did. I just picked the guy I liked the most, who I thought understood what I was doing the most, and went with him.
Why do you need an agent?
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't understand that before either, and I just figured I'm good at negotiating things. I read Getting to Yes. This should be easy. And now that I'm learning more about how this all works, I've been humbled on that front as well. My agent has been incredibly helpful in navigating a world I don't know a dang thing about. He came in and, we made up a contract or whatever. The agent gets a certain percentage of any money you might ever eventually make on projects that he negotiates for you. And the next step was you got to come up with an idea for a book. And so then I put him off for a long time on that as well because I was working on other things. And I promised him.
Am I allowed to ask the percent? Like, is that a secret or is that?
It's only a secret in that I don't remember exactly. 15-ish, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's something like that. It might be exactly 15. Yeah. And there are no other real fees or anything. Whatever the number is, it's not sneaky. It's very easy to calculate. Like, hey, if anybody buys any of these, this is how much you could potentially earn on that. And when you're running the calculation of sending 2 girls off to college, I will admit I have run that math a couple of times. Like, hey, we could do this much with this or whatever. It's just been a while since I've actually done the math on it, so I don't remember the exact percentage. So I told him, hey, by the end of the year, I will get you a proposal. And he sent me a little guide for how to write it and what he would like a proposal to look like. And this is basically a pitch to publishers. Which publishers would be decided based on what the proposal looked like. We verbally discussed that a few times, and he sort of was like, I probably don't want to do that, man, to a couple of the ideas I had. A couple other ideas, he's like, yeah, and I know people at this publisher and that publisher, and they would like it. I think they would jump on it. So, he kind of nudged, hey, let's do option A or option B. Let's not do C, D, or E for now. It was kind of helpful because you and I have talked about a bunch of book ideas, and I don't know. You've thought some of them were kind of fun and interesting along the way, but I didn't end up doing those books. I picked this one and I wrote up the proposal. You got that let your yes be yes and your no be no thing. And it doesn't always work out that way, but I really try to have it work out that way. So I literally kept my word and gave him a proposal by the end of the year by turning it in at 4:30 p.m. on December 31st, which technically counts as before the end of the year.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Yeah. Deadline mode. Have you seen that video, Deadline mode?
No, what's that about?
Oh, it's fantastic, dude. It's like a little stick figure on the internet, and he goes, what does he say? He goes, the deadline approaches, and I stare at an empty screen. and he goes, brain, will you do that thing that makes us do the doing? And he goes, yes, initiating deadline mode. And then the guy just, I'm typing, what's happening? It's so funny.
And you're telling me this video isn't by Bobby Duke? Because everything you just said sounded like Bobby Duke.
No, it's not Bobby Duke, but it's funny. I don't know who made it. It's great. Go look up Deadline Mode. It's a great video.
Well,
so yeah,
we both know Deadline Mode well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we do. So you have to initiate Deadline Mode in order to get the book proposal. So you get the proposal, and then you just write the book like on a weekend or something, right?
No, no. I think that was my mistake last time. Is I was like, cool, now I write the book, and I should have had someone in my ear being like, no, you don't write the book. Do not write a book if you want to write a book. That is the wrong order of operations. Yeah.
Is it really?
Well, I mean, think about how many people we know. I mean, I think you go video idea first. Curiosity drives what video you're going to make next. And then you have to play this stupid title and thumbnail game to try to make it work.
Hate it.
What does that feel like to you, playing that game?
Feels like doing it backwards. Yeah. The title and thumbnail. I'm not talking about the title of your book. I'm talking about the actual writing of the book.
Right, but I think it's analogous. I hate the title and thumbnail game as well. I hate that on my last video, a nice picture of ancient historian Josephus and then sort of a silhouette of Jesus, who he talked about briefly in one of his ancient history books. It was the obvious thumbnail. It's interesting. It works. Well, you put it in front of the audience and they all picked this weird cartoonish purple version of the guy, the ancient historian that I made, with a ridiculous quote on the thumbnail. It's just the stupidest thumbnail that I could come up with. But I was so frustrated with thumbnailing that I'm like, there, fine, I'll do this. Let's see how it works. And dude, my stupid purple thumbnail annihilated my good thumbnail. The idiot one wrecked my dignified one. You hate the thumbnail game, or you hate my thumbnail?
I hate the thumbnail game. I hate it. It's the worst. It's the actual worst.
It is. It feels like you get to the end of a project and the whole thing gets bastardized and it loses its purity right at the finish line.
That's a great way of saying it. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. It's awful.
But a lot of people in the Mr. Beast age of YouTube, and I think you and I might disagree on exactly how many eras of YouTube there have been. I think I'd probably argue for, I don't know. I'd have to think that through again. I'd argue for 4, and that we're just entering the post-Mr. Beast era of YouTube right now. But in the Mr. Beast era of YouTube, people started doing it backwards. You go with a title idea first by using keyword searches and figuring out whatever is trending. You come up with a thumbnail that you test apart from a video to figure out, will this sort of thumbnail and title combination, would people click on it? And the point is get people to click on it, not make the video you actually want to make. So all of the trends and all of the dumb lizard brain research for what people who are half asleep or pooping will click on is what drives the content on YouTube, not the thing you're super curious and excited about and can't wait to explain to people who are a little bit outside of this topic and bring them in and rope them in and be excited together and share this thing. So I kind of hate this era of YouTube for that reason, and that's why I hate the thumbnail game. Am I saying crazy things, or is all of this resonating?
Oh, these are facts. Like, there is a book written about this on how to do it. I
Seriously?
won't talk about the author or anything. Yeah, there was a book written about how to do this. And
who's the author? Why won't you talk about the author?
I don't want to. So, there was a book written, and me and my buddy George, who helps me with Smarter Every Day, we were talking about this, and I was like, man, this is the bad knowledge. I don't want the bad knowledge. And he's like, I'll read it and then throw it away. And that's what we did. He read it, and I said, I didn't want to read that, right? He goes, yeah, we don't want that in your head. I was like, great.
Good.
Basically, I didn't want to compromise my own integrity by knowing information that might make me want to game things. So I decided not to read it, and we moved forward, and we started taking strategic L's. I do have an idea for a video that I'm going to do soon, and
okay.
I think it'll be important in this regard to talk about this era of YouTube. What 4 eras do you think there are?
Okay. Era number 1 is the birth of Venus, the naked, blinking, stepping into the light, pure, perfect, curvy, dew still on us, emerging from the giant shell. It's just springtime. Everything is beautiful and lovely. Hey, guys, we could film things and put it on the internet. Other people could see it. We could make comments about it. Well, I should make one of these then. Well, hi. Is this on? I'm Matt. I'm on the internet. And people just started, there was such joy. Like, look, it's an elephant. Welcome to YouTube. And everybody's having so much fun. You just jiggled a chicken around in that era. Hey, guys, check this out. Look what chickens do when you jiggle them around. Hang on, I'm going to jiggle it again. And people were like, that's great. Look at that frickin' chicken. Look what it does when you jiggle it. That's awesome. And then we got the Wikipedia gold rush. This was like the moment when gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill in California, 1849. This is what the San Francisco 49ers are named for. You know, everybody finds out what there's just gold there. And it's just like laying in rivers, and you can, like, if you grab it, you can just have it. Okay, I'm in. And everybody ran to California. That's era number 2 of YouTube, when everybody ran out and they were like, wait, you mean I can literally just explain this Wikipedia article with like some video and stuff, and then I get money? Oh, heck yeah. There's just gold laying in the river? Heck yeah. And we kind of figured out, okay, every Wikipedia article has 4 to 6 videos worth of interest in it from the viewing audience on YouTube. Some people did a poor job of it. Some people did a great job of it. Some people, like you, our friend Brady, a handful of others who I think were really pioneers in that age, were like, I'm going off script. I'm not even going to do Wikipedia articles. I'm going to do stuff Wikipedia doesn't even know about yet. I'm going to go learn about this because I'm curious. And then you just found stuff, questions people hadn't thought to ask yet. And people loved that stuff. That was awesome. But then people started imitating the same questions, and the educational era of YouTube kind of dried up around, I would say, 2019. Are you with me so far, or would you break this down different?
Keep going. This is great. You've articulated this to me several times in the past, but never in such a concise way, and I did not know about the eras that you came up with. This is great. Keep going.
This is my first try at it out loud. Okay, 3 is
this the Mr. Beastification of it?
It is. It's the Mr. Beast era. And to be clear, I don't know Mr. Beast. I know many people who do, not well. So like, for me to just pick a fight with him isn't just like me firing shots at like some random on the internet. I don't want to criticize him as a human being or a person. So don't take the Mr. Beast era as me being mean to a guy necessarily. Don't get me wrong. I don't enjoy his content, but he's not making it for me. What happened in this era was we went from your term, the Library of Alexandria model of YouTube, which was we're going to take all the knowledge from human history and we're going to have this great big capitalistic run where the best ideas that are the best articulated because of the way the algorithm worked back then are going to win. So a market of clicks really is going to decide which explanation makes the most sense. It's all getting peer-reviewed, crowdsourced, and the good stuff should rise to the top. And for the most part, that is what happened in era number 2. But in era number 3, Jimmy came along and figured out that you can game this entire system. The algorithm evolved a little bit in the late 20-teens, and I think YouTube a little bit lost control of it. I don't think they were willing to probably admit that. I don't know if they even admit it yet, but I think they lost a little bit of control of the beast. And so we were all still imagining there are just dials and there's a Wizard of Oz behind the curtain and they tweak the dials and, oh, I didn't like that tweak. They tweak them the other way. Oh, I liked that tweak. I don't think there was a lot of tweaking that could happen. I think the thing got bigger than could be handled, but really thoughtful analysis of the big picture of it meant you could find exploits like playing a video game where you get in an infinite loop. Like I remember as a kid when somebody figured out the Super Mario Brother, put the turtle on the staircase right before you jump to get the flag. And if you just jump at the right height, you can get infinite one-ups because you just keep bouncing on the turtle. Well, that wasn't the intent of the game, but it still worked.
I showed my son that the other day, and he looked at me like I had just discovered fire. He's like, how did you know that? I was like, oh, well, I don't know. And then do something else, you know? It's really fun to know the old stuff and just get to show them. So it's really fun. I really enjoy the quote from Chronicles of Narnia where the White Witch is saying, he's a traitor, Aslan. You know, he's got to die. And then Aslan shuts her up and says, don't cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written. That's what it feels like when you show that kind of stuff. Anyway, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. Or the Bane quote about being born in the internet. So to use your analogy, which I think is a really good one, what caused the leap from era 2 of YouTube to era 3, which I would call the Mr. Beast era, was exactly that. There were exploits the game designers didn't mean to put in the game. That infinite one-up trick on level 3-1 or whatever it was of Super Mario Brothers wasn't intentional, but it was real. Whereas up, down, left, right, BA, select, start on Contra or other Konami games, that was there. It was intentional. It was a way to bake something into the code that could reignite interest in the game later on. It was a very clever thing that they did, but it was intentional. So it's not really an exploit. Well, the thing that caused the gamification of YouTube, it was an exploit. It wasn't baked in. I don't think it was on purpose. And the people who figured it out quickly figured out that it worked best on kids, that it worked best not on people who were there for critical thought and growth. It was just outrageous.
People just reacting. Yeah. They're just kind of doing things. Yeah.
Lizard brain. And the more absurd, and before this, people were thinking, we should make thumbnails aesthetically pleasing. They should look nice because it's a work of art and I would want it to look nice. But do you remember what you told me right at the end of the educational era of YouTube about what people were doing to their thumbnails that was working? Do you remember when you discovered that?
Sharpening them?
Yeah. Not sharpening. There was one specific filter. Do you remember what it was?
Unsharp mask.
Dang, you do. Yeah. And what was that? Remind me of how you saw that.
Actually, a friend told me, Henry from Minute Physics, was really good at Photoshop, and he told me, yeah, this is a thing that people, I mean, this just makes it pop. It makes the image pop more, and it's a thing to think about. And then there was all kinds of stuff that was happening. People started lightening the eyes, make them look more white. there was discussions about, oh, you should show your teeth or you should not show your teeth. And then we joked about surprise face. There was actually a brief era there when attractive female in the thumbnail would work. And then I think YouTube was like, oh, this gets bad fast. We shouldn't allow that. And so they kind of turned that dial back. But there was a brief year where that was a thing. And I've lived through a lot of it.
So. That to me was one of the first tremors of this move to the gamification of YouTube. Like, hey, dude, if you're not yanking your unsharp mask to like 80%, are you even taking YouTube seriously? And you didn't say that to me, but that became kind of the vibe. And I'm just trying to understand the best rendering of the original Greek for this passage in Matthew. Like, I don't care about the unsharp mask. This is just a great story, and I'm trying to draw out all the interesting wrinkles. Unsharp mask? Who cares? Well, from there, it just went nuclear. Like, all kinds of money gushed into YouTube, the helicopter money that came with COVID, and it was just flush with cash there for a while. Like, if you could get a lot of clicks, you could get a lot of money, and that incentivized the gamification of it all the more. And that is when this thing that, this is how we got to this point, talking about the book and what order you write a book in. And if you want to write a book, don't write a book first. This is where the order of things got screwed up, where you started being coached to search what's trending, search terms, you find somebody else's virality and chase it with your own video on that topic as an entire model for your channel and your content, then come up with a title and thumbnail combo. Then as long as the content at least kind of deals with that, good enough.
Is this era 4 or this is
still 3 in my mind?
What I'm seeing happening now is some people are going to Smarter Every Day and they're observing old videos that I've done and they're doing them again as shorts.
Yep.
But worse.
Oh, definitely worse.
So they'll literally go to Smarter Every Day, look at what I did on Smarter Every Day, and then just try to explain it with as many colors and as much spectacle as possible, throw it on a short, and then just basically farming it. So it's like the Wikipedia age is over, but it's almost like we're moving on to a place where people are remelting down old electronics to get the gold out of the printed circuit boards.
Oh, going back through the tailings to see if the gold timers missed any gold.
Tailings. Yeah. Interesting. But it's different than that. Wait, what are the tailings in the mining analogy?
I was trying to stick with my gold rush analogy for this. So tailings are all the stuff that you ran through your sluice box, and it's not valuable stuff. It's just rocks and whatever that the gold was mixed in with. And so, for example, when the old timers would dredge rivers that were full of gold during these gold rushes, they'd build these big steamboats, and they had claws, like the kind of stuff that was in movies about ecological disasters, and they would claw up the bottom of the river and then they'd run the entire bottom of the river through their sluice box. The tiny bit of gold kicks out of one shaft. All of the big, ugly, dumb rocks get piled up in just a gigantic 30-mile long, 15-foot high rock pile that is a complete mystery unless you understand how dredging and tailings works. Well, then later, people would come back in the last 10 or 15 years with new technology and be like, maybe the old timers missed some gold because of how they sluiced. And they'd go back and literally just rerun the tailings, the rock piles, because they believed they could pick off some gold the old timers missed. So now the analogy stays with the whole gold rush era of educational era number 2 and into the rerun the tailings era of number 3. See what we did?
I see what we did. Well, what's interesting, though, is with your analogy, they know where to mine because they know what worked. I remember the first time I ever felt this. I made the video with the Thunderbirds, the F-16 supersonic flight. I took an image from the GoPro shot that was looking at my face as we were climbing out, and you could see like a vapor cone behind me. It was just a really cool image. We got the jet wings. It's very wide, so you got my helmet, you got the jet wings, and you got like the smoke as we're climbing out with the jet. It's awesome. And I remember seeing another YouTuber guy who made a video and he used my thumbnail and replaced the head, like my head in the helmet, with his own head.
Literally the same
I was like, wait
thumbnail?
a second. 100% the same thumbnail. Literally the same thumbnail. This was before AI.
What?
And I was like, wait a second. Oh, it's totally a thing. So that's what people do now. They say, oh, well, this video worked. That must mean it has a good thumbnail. So I'm just going to steal their thumbnail and change it to my face. That's a thing now.
Ugh.
And so.
Okay, but that's still Era 3. That to me is still.
Okay.
Era 3 is defined by it's the gamification of everything. And here's how you in the third chair know I'm telling the truth. Do you like watching YouTube videos anymore? The answer is no.
That's not true. I love it.
It's not nearly as fun as it used to be.
So when Bobby Duke uploads a new video,
well, you're talking about the way Bobby we say Duke.
It's a YouTube video. You said watching YouTube's not fun. Bobby Duke's videos are fun.
Yes.
So
on balance, do you feel like you're getting a lot of stuff like that? Like a lot of stuff of the quality of Bobby Duke right now? Is that pretty much every video in your feed is as good as a basic Bobby Duke video?
No, not every video at all. But I just do want to say, like, as a family, we say, hey, Bobby Duke uploaded a new video, and we'll go sit on the couch as a family and watch it, and it's awesome.
We do the same.
Do you really?
And then we call him on speakerphone, and we all laugh about it. And my kids call him Bibbidi, and my kids call him Bibbidi Bobbidi Duke.
So yeah, it's great. I think it's changing. I think the shorts thing is a big dumb move by YouTube. It's moronic.
And do you count that as part of the Mr. Beast era, or do you count that as something new? Where would you put it?
I think it's new. Like, obviously they've had shorts for a while, but now shorts and YouTube should have been two different apps, no doubt.
Why?
Because shorts, they were just going after the TikTok money. That's all they were doing. TikTok was becoming a thing. They wanted to compete, and so it was a race to the bottom. I actually spoke to a guy from China. The recent manufacturing video that I made, we can talk about this at some other time, but a Chinese guy came up to me and he said, dude, I'm an engineer in America. I was originally from China. Your manufacturing video is a big deal because of something we have in China. It's called, I'm going to butcher this, but it's Nisi Wo Hao. Nisi Wo Hao, I think is how you say it, which means you die, I live.
Oh.
In Chinese, they have this saying that's like, hey, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to get mine, preferably at your expense. So I'm going to undercut you however I can undercut you in order to do this. And so that's why, man, we just can't go there. It's just too much to talk about with the manufacturing stuff.
That's a good tease. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. But long story short, the TikTok era was a race to the bottom. They figured out how to gamify all the things we were talking about earlier, the thumbnails, I remember throwing my phone, not exaggerating. I threw my phone. They wanted me to be on TikTok as a verified user or whatever. I was like, well, I'll try it and see if I want to be there. And I remember a few weeks in, I was dumbly, like an idiot. Dumbly is a word, by the way. I was swiping on TikTok, just infinite scroll, caught in it. And I like analog photography. My daughter likes to watch videos about horses. She thinks horses are cool. And I like mechanics and stuff like that. And I'm a man, and I'm attracted to females, specifically one female in particular, my wife. But I'm a red-blooded man.
So just
I'm
in general,
attracted
to be
females.
clear, you think girls are pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, all right.
And so I swiped, and one video showed me a video of an attractive female on a horse with an analog camera, a camera that I thought was really cool. And I was like, what?
What?
Like, it had dialed me.
Devilry.
Like, it was.
Is that?
Right? It's like dadgummit. And so I remember clicking my phone to lock and throwing it and be like, get away from me, and just threw it. Like, I can't beat that.
No, you can't beat that. Well, right there, buddy. That's the $1 million comment. You can't beat that. And you are made of very stern stuff, but you can't beat that. Not even you. That's too good.
I deleted that thing.
Yeah, good riddance.
Yeah, I deleted it, and I decided I'm not going to upload to TikTok. When Shorts came around, I was like, man, and Instagram has short form. I used to upload silly little videos and stories to Instagram, and I mean, Smarter Every Day has a ton of slow motion that would absolutely kill on Shorts. I know this.
I know this because other people do it with your footage.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. There's a story there. Some guy did it recently, and I issued a copyright takedown, and he did a counterclaim, and the only way forward is for me to sue him. Yeah. I don't want to do that. But he's like, no, this is fair use. And I looked at it, and it's like, no, it's not. So I'm going to have to do something to figure that out. But he like pushed it forward. And if you go to his channel, it's all stolen content from MLB. But anyway, it's just a weird thing, man. I think you're right about these eras, but I do think the fourth era is the Shorts era, and I think it's horrible. I think it's really bad for a ton of reasons. I don't want to contribute to the downfall of the American attention span or the next generation's attention span. I don't want to contribute to that.
I think Shorts, I don't think it defines YouTube enough to get its own era. So I would disagree on your fourth era. I would say Shorts, to me, goes hand in hand with the Mr. Beastification of things.
This is what I want to do. I want to pivot back to the book, because I think what you're doing with a book is you're getting away from this, I don't know what you want to call it, the TikTokification of YouTube. But I will add, it's almost like you're making shorts of the Bible.
I'll take that as a compliment. I like it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I will say that the book, for me, is sort of my constructive proposal for era 3 and era 4 of YouTube. Era 4 being just anger. Just pick something and be mad about it, and a click's a click, right? Well, I wanted to write a book that was just super happy and fun. And so
yeah,
the book is very aware of the fact that people disagree about the Bible. But rather than tackling any of that, I just tried to write a book that would basically be, for those who don't know, the Bible is 66 small books in one larger volume. So it's an anthology that covers a ton of time and is written by a whole bunch of different people. It's not one single story like a chapter book or a novel. It has a bunch of authors over a bunch of time. I wanted to write a book that would make people feel really optimistic that they could understand a book this complicated and this long and this old, and that was written in such an unusual way. That's really intimidating to people. I thought, well, one of the big hurdles is just feeling like you can handle it a little bit. Well, what do you do when you're going to explore something new? You buy a field guide and you take it with you. And when you have it with you, you're like, hey, if I ever get lost, I've got this thing to help me identify certain markers along the way. But ultimately, it's meant to be a little companion to help you in your adventure. It's not meant to replace the adventure. So the idea is the book is meant to set you up for success. It's meant to convince you that you can totally handle and read the Bible and make sense of it, whether you're a person who thinks there's a God or not.
That's awesome. Well, this is what I want to say to you. You mentioned that you would like me to blurb the book. Is that what it's called?
Okay. Yeah, we're putting that out there. Yes, I asked if you would endorse my book.
And this is how I would like to do it, if you will allow me to do this. And so I'm going to write a thing, and you have to send this to like the book publisher, right? And all that kind of stuff. You got to like send it to them and all those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Will you please allow me to send you the following? I'm going to say something about this book, Lightning Fast Field Guide to the Bible by Matt Whitman. And then I'll say, Matt Whitman is one of the thinkers of our era.
It's true.
Is that okay?
It's
yeah.
So are we just going to see if they catch that and send it back?
Can we? I just want to see what they'll do. I think it'd be funny.
Just going to delete.
Or I could say most. Matt Whitman is one of the most thinkers of our era.
That's somehow worse.
Can we do that? Yeah.
This is one of the books of
on
a
the
generation.
Bible. This is one of them. I think it would be fun to do that. No, I'm excited.
Judgment.
I'm excited for your book, and I want to kind of cut our conversation here on the book thing because I'm sure as we get further in the process, we'll have more on that. But I'm excited about it, and I sent out a link to the Amazon pre-order thing on the email list, and maybe we'll send a link out in the actual episode email list here. So if you're listening to this episode, please consider going and getting on our email list. That would be awesome. I think that'd be really cool. Are you cool with me sending out the pre-order link to everybody?
Yeah, I'm going to be bashful about it, but yeah, it's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Sounds great. I'm excited about it.
I like where our conversation ended up going. I wanted to talk about your class. Thanks for bringing up the book thing. That's kind. I think down the road, when I've actually landed the plane on all of this, it'll be fun to give you the rest of the story of what it's like to publish a book. I'm still kind of in the throes of it, so I'm glad that we got sidetracked on the question of if you want to write a book, don't write a book, and the eras of YouTube. That buys me a little more time to go through a bit more of this process and learn more about it before I tell you about the rest of it.
I'll be excited to hear it. But for now, you can go get Matt's book at the Amazon pre-order link, The Lightning Fast Field Guide to the Bible. Check it out.